Hello, cooking enthusiasts. Today's video is about another ingredient that I kind of invented, which is a brown butter spread that I processed in my chocolate conch. This is based on the chef's tips procedure for making brown butter solids, in which you cook milk powder and butter together to maximize the flavor of brown butter, since most of the flavor comes from small amounts of protein and sugar in butter. Even when I'm making a small amount of brown butter for a dish, I will sometimes add a little bit of milk powder as a way to, again, boost the flavor. Now, one issue I have with this technique is that I find the resulting solids are kind of chunky and difficult to incorporate into liquid-based preparations. Chef Steps has a further recipe for processing the brown butter solids into a finer powder, but again, most of my ideas involve incorporating it into some kind of sauce, and I find that there is often noticeable grittiness from the brown solids. This grittiness is what made me consider using my chocolate conch, which is designed to grind very tough particles. Obviously, this isn't practical for most people, but again, I'm more just documenting what I'm doing. For every 450 grams or 1 pound of butter, you add 150 grams of milk powder, which is a nice, easy ratio to remember. I'm doing batches based on 2 pounds of butter, and I wouldn't go much smaller than 1 pound. You basically need to melt your butter before adding the milk powder and doing constant but relatively slow whisking on low to medium heat. Depending on your stove, it might take a while for all of the moisture in your butter to boil off, at which point you need to carefully watch the color of the milk solids. It can change rapidly from pale yellow to brown to dark brown. There's varying levels of intensity you can make your brown butter, and for your first time, I would err on the side of going for a light brown, which could mean achieving a golden color and then turning off the heat. Once the stove is off, you can continue stirring for another minute and then drain the mixture through a metal sieve, and residual heat should get you to a good final color. Once you get some experience, you can attempt to create darker brown butter solids without hopefully burning them. Again, these solids are still perfectly usable at this stage, but you will notice that they are very chunky due to excess fat staying attached to them. Despite processing 600 grams of milk powder, my final yield was over 900 grams from the additional fat that wouldn't separate from the process. For my brown butter spread and other applications, it might be good to take note of how much, percentage-wise, your final product is the actual solids. For my brown butter spread, I wanted 600 grams of the actual solids, 600 grams of butter, and 600 grams of a neutral oil like canola oil, so that the resulting product was about 1/3 brown butter solids. It was easy enough to put all of that in the conch, along with a little bit of salt and a tiny bit of sugar, and it actually only took about 8 to 10 hours to process, which is relatively short for conch projects. The resulting product was pretty much exactly what I was hoping for. Very smooth, very spreadable, even in the refrigerator, and extremely intense in brown butter flavor. I think it would also be easy to incorporate into very fat-based sauces like a hollandaise or a mayonnaise. And when I want to, I can make that brown butter flavor very intense, like next week when I'm going to show you my brown butter gelato recipe. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe it gave you some ideas. Please feel free to leave any questions in the comments. Otherwise, thank you for watching.